Welcome to episode 317. Is that what you said? That many?
321.
Oh my God. 321 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie or a TV show or a comic book, all kinds of mediums, all kinds of genres. We watch it, read it, or listen to it, then we come back here and talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson. I am joined, as always, by Kyle Springer.
Turn to the right. Turn to the right.
I'm already right. Oh. Take it back now, Melissa. Y'all.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Charlie Brown.
How has your weekend been so far?
It's been a great holiday weekend. How did you spend 4th of July?
Doing absolutely nothing. Rachel was off with some family. Her grandma has been in like a long-term care place. So she went to go hang out with her and watch some fireworks on the TV while I got to stay home and play video games. So that's what I did. I was playing Death Stranding 2.
Any fireworks in that?
No, not necessarily, but invisible monsters.
Any bright colors? Any bright colors at all? Because whenever I've seen an image from Death Stranding, it mostly looks gray and dark green.
Yeah, there's
not
a lot of gray, a lot of navy, a lot of dark. Yeah, because it's like overcast and rainy for a lot of it. But then there are things that are like light up and it's like, baby blue. That's nice. Love a good baby blue.
Cerulean.
Exactly. But yeah, speaking of babies, Melissa, what are we here to talk about?
We spend every 4th of July adjacent episode of the review show for the last several years. We've dubbed it our National Treasure Weekend. We watch a film featuring Nicolas Cage. This year, our subject is Raising Arizona from 1987.
This is a good one. I really enjoy this one a lot. I think it's pretty light and breezy. It's easy to get through, right? There's the plot is not complicated at all. It's done in an hour and a half. It's funny. Nicolas Cage gets to be silly he often, right, like he is known for like going into his roles in this like silly manner, but this I feel like is a kind of slapstick comedy that you don't necessarily see him in as much or like that's not necessarily what you think of when you think of Nicolas Cage roles per se.
Yes, they describe this movie as a farce. You don't typically think of him in a farce. And this is the youngest and funniest Cage we've had to date. Because since we started this tradition, we have watched the National Treasure duology, adaptation, and The Family Man.
Yeah. We've got the like kids market, the adult market, the comedy market, the real serious drama like romance market. We've covered a good amount of Nicolas Cage here, a wide variety.
Finally, we arrive at Hot Cage.
Exactly.
No offense to the other roles. No offense to the weird wigs he's wearing in adaptation when he's two guys. This is the handsomest one, even though he looks like he stuck his finger in a light socket. He's got that kind of hair.
He really does. Yeah. He looks like he just got out of like some wind tunnel that has like just completely disheveled him.
Just off a roller coaster. This man, you caught him immediately post Six Flags.
Yeah. How was the cyclone, right? What did you think of this new roller coaster? I hadn't seen this one in a long time. I remember watching it when I was younger with my dad. I remember my dad really liked this film. I had a good time with this one, right? I like I said, I feel like it's just a light-hearted one that you can just sit back and put on and be like, oh yeah, this one, it's good, it's fun, you know?
I had seen most of this movie on Comedy Central 20 years ago.
Sounds
So
about
this
right.
was my first time, I think, sitting down watching it 100% beginning to end.
Mm.
It is so charming, so surprisingly heartfelt. The fantasy elements really surprised me. That's a strength. You really don't find those everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it was interesting for me to watch it again. Also, with having this podcast under my belt for a decade now, almost, because I've seen a number of movies or familiarized myself with enough that I kind of got some interesting vibes off of this one. I was like, this reminds me a lot of Napoleon Dynamite. This kind of not in a compositional way, but in the dialogue delivery also reminded me of a Wes Anderson.
Right, in its windswept dryness, it is similar to Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, but then not in a compositional way, but in the dialogue delivery, Wes Anderson.
Yes.
There's like this dryness to the way they deliver the narration. And,
absolutely parched.
Yeah, and it's just like, I can kind of see the influences here, and I think that was also neat to be able to watch and make those connections. But yeah, I had a good time. I think some good performances from Nicolas Cage, from Holly Hunter. It's always a pleasure to see to see John Goodman in movies. He's always a blast to see, and he's worked with the Coen Brothers a few times. So neat to see him in more of their films. Good times all around. Good holiday weekend. Good summer movie, too. It just feels hot, right?
Yes.
They're out in the desert. There's even one character who's just leaving flames in his wake wherever he goes. Just feels sweaty, right? Yeah. Yeah. So good stuff indeed. Any other stuff you want to say before you mention a plot synopsis?
The reasons why I picked this, a couple. I mentioned we hadn't gotten an early career Cage or a real comedy Cage quite yet. Full-on comedy. I think the movies we've watched so far had a number of genres hyphenated, and comedy might be one of them. We've never talked about Holly Hunter. I don't know where we've been for 320 episodes.
Right?
You are
not on the hunt.
No. You are coming to visit me in St. Louis in mere days. And I wanted to welcome you to our fair state with a movie starring Missouri's own John Goodman. Yeah. Always the right time for some John Goodman. Him we have covered a number of times in like minuscule little roles throughout our history. This might be the most Goodman we've ever spent time with.
Debatably, the most time we've spent with him was on our dad draft over on the Captain's Log, one of our other podcasts. True. Right? Yeah.
I bet audiences know immediately one of the two dad roles that was drafted. The other one might surprise you.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Indeed.
Blank Check, their next director's series. Blank Check is a podcast about movies, specifically covering directors' filmographies. The Coen Brothers won their March Madness bracket earlier this year. And this series kicks off next week with their first film, Blood Simple. So I thought, if I'm going to be rewatching all this stuff anyway, I might as well just do two homeworks at once and bring it here.
Right, yeah. And I think Blood Simple was the one they made before this movie.
Yes. I think this was their second film. Although at the time when they started their careers, I think there was a DGA rule saying you couldn't have a pair of directors credited. So it'll say one was directed by Joel and produced by Ethan, or vice versa. I think it took a couple movies before there was some change that let them be credited as Joel and Ethan Coen, or however it is. I don't know whose
Interesting.
name goes first.
Interesting. Yeah. And now I think more recently they've tried their hands at doing separate projects, which is interesting.
We've never talked Coens here either. They have been pitched several times. It's the first time they are making it here.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk a little bit more about this one. But let's take a quick break for some housekeeping. And when we come back, we will dive more in depth.
Did you want to do a brief
Raising
synopsis?
Arizona. Oh, yes. Yeah, I completely slipped my mind. Thank you. Yeah. Well, let's do the synopsis first.
I had a long preamble. Sorry. So Nicolas Cage plays a hapless, dumb, low-life not even bank robber. Convenience store robber. Unmasked. Completely see his face. Convenience store robber. And Holly Hunter plays a police officer who takes his photos when he gets brought into the jail. And every time he gets brought into the jail, they form a romance. They get married. They want to start a family. They find out they can't conceive a baby. And due to his criminal history, nobody's going to let them adopt a baby. Then a local businessman named Nathan Arizona is blessed with quintuplets. And this couple says to themselves, well, they've got more than they can handle. It's only fair we should have one of those. Just spread the wealth. So they kidnap one of the babies. And then mayhem ensues.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a great, just kind of dumb plot. That's just like, yeah, that could work. Right? Makes for something fun to sit down and watch. But yeah, you nailed it. I think there is this this interesting kind of not divide, because sometimes it's hard to tell of like what is real here and what's not real here. There is this almost magical realism to the story here that I think is really interesting and makes it that much funnier. So. Good stuff with that. Thank you for the synopsis. Now we can get to our housekeeping and get that over with. We will be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support. Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot. Thank you so much. It means a ton. Over on the Pilots Club, we just released our episode on Burn Notice. It is the year of the detective over on the Pilots Club, and Melissa was like, I mean, spy, but enough of a detective, right?
He qualifies.
Exactly. So, yeah, we got to watch the first episode of Burn Notice over on the Pilots Club. Go check that one out. That was a lot of fun. And then we are just about to release our episode, our free Pilots Club episode on Cable Girls. So be on the lookout for that. That will be up very shortly. Let's see, right here on the review show, last episode, we covered Le Mans. Is that right? Was it Le Mans?
Yeah.
That's what we did? I hadn't really updated my housekeeping thing here. So yes, Le Mans. We got excited about some racing since the F1 movie was coming out, and the actual 2025 24 Hours of Le Mans race had happened like the weekend before. So we decided to watch Steve McQueen's love letter to motorsport and all that it entails. And that was a good one. It was a fun one, an interesting one to watch now that we have seen the F1 movie. And speaking of which, if you too have seen the F1 movie, we also have a spoiler cast up of the F1 movie over on the Reactor Core, one of our other podcasts. So you guys can go check that out as well. Over on the Captain's Log, we just recorded our annual trivia night. Melissa and I got to quiz each other on all sorts of things. We typically have Ignacio join us. He was not able to make it out. He was over in Japan. We predicted correctly that he got to see one of the Gundams. He sent me a picture in the middle of the night last night and was like, look what I just saw. I was like, I knew it.
Your best friend Gundam.
Right, yeah. He got to see a giant Gundam. But yeah, some interesting questions there. I think we learned a lot. Melissa did questions themed on things that I said in the Captain's Log in previous years. So that was interesting. But yes, I am about to go over to St. Louis to visit Melissa in person for episode 300 of the Captain's Log. We're going to go see Superman. We're going to see a play. We're going to go to some museums, eat some good food. So episode 300 of the Captain's Log will kind of be like a travel log. So be on the lookout for that shortly after I get back. That I think will be a lot of fun to make and put out. It'll be a very different kind of episode from what we normally do, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that is it for housekeeping. So let's get into some spoilers for Raising Arizona. Here we go. Melissa, since this is like officially your first time watching this, where did you want to start? Was there something about this that like you didn't remember or stood out to you, like you thought it was one thing, but like, oh, actually this thing?
The fantasy surprised me because it's not an excessively silly movie. This thing is not stuffed with like reality bending gags so much, except in these specific
it's no Inception
contexts.
It's no Paprika or stuff like that, right?
Or whatever the funny version of one of those things is. When he has the vision of the bounty hunter coming for him, this is a beautiful sequence where the man looks like a Mad Max. He's come straight out of the Thunderdome to this Arizona desert. He's a tattoo on his arm that literally, it's a skull, and it literally says in the little tattoo ribbon, "Mama didn't love me." He's so greasy. He's so dirty. He's riding his bike down the highway. He leaves a trail of flames wherever he goes. He drives by a flower and the flower lights on fire. He throws a grenade at a bunny rabbit. It's just the most evil man. This like concentrated force of bad comes roaring down the street after you. It's so literal it becomes a cartoon. I enjoyed that very much. Every time we see that guy,
like Wile E. Coyote Acme almost, right? Of just how
and I think
cartoonish it is.
Yes. This movie did make me long for a Coen Brothers Looney Tunes movie. You and I have talked multiple times before on a live action Looney Tunes movie, not a live action hybrid, just like get someone Get an A-list actor. Put the rabbit ear headband on them. This is our bugs. Let's go.
You know, they would immediately be like, all right, we want Yosemite Sam. Let's get him over here. Somehow it has influences from like No Country for Old Men and 3:10 to Yuma. And right.
I would love a No Country for Old Men, but it's Looney Tunes so much.
Yeah. He has this like caricature feeling to him, and the way people react to him too is almost unbelievable. Just like when he shows up to or when the two, I guess you call them criminals, are they brothers, John Goodman and I don't remember the other actor's name.
I think so. I think they're brothers.
Yeah, something like that. But when they show up to the bank and have everyone get down, then later on, when the biker comes through, they're like jumping out of the way and like rolling out of the way in still in like a cartoony kind of way. It just the whole like every sequence with him. It like in the moment you're like, I can see it that like someone like in the like Wild West Western movies that you sometimes see, there always is someone who just rolls through town and gets caught up in the plot, right? So I like, could it be that far-fetched that there's like a bounty hunter in the area that's like, hey, maybe I can actually search for this baby that's gone missing? Sure. But then he's just so ridiculous that it's like, but is he actually there, or does he represent some kind of like fear or anxiety that these people have? This like specter of parenthood.
Because the first time we encounter him, this is a dream that Nicolas Cage is having. The movie also ends with a very fantastical dream where he knows he's dreaming, but he feels like what he is dreaming is not only fantasy, it is seeing the future. Surely these things will happen.
Yeah, there's this real like manifestation thing happening here. But what's interesting to me in this one too, and spinning off of that character, there feels like this feels like a movie about the uncertainties of parenting and parenthood and just not really knowing how to react to any of it, right? That is the thing that I like every generation kind of realizes as they grow up, is that the adults in your life also have no idea what they're doing. They're just making it up as they go along. And so, yeah, you have Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter and their characters like really wanting to be parents and straighten out their lives and be a decent family and kind of move into this new stage of their lives and clean themselves up, so to speak. And they're just constantly running into struggles with that of like, okay, well, there's relationships that maybe we can no longer have because they're not a good influence. There's relationships you have that just make you more anxious because it's like, well, do you have a pediatrician? Do you have this? Do you have like, have you done this? Have you done that?
He's got to get his dip, Tet.
Right. Yeah. And it's just this like almost paralysis of I don't know what to do. Right. But then on top of that, you have these two criminal escapees, these brothers. We should look that up and make sure that they actually are brothers. I think there should be something like the characters on. Yep, they are brothers. John Goodman and William Forsythe playing Gail and Evel Snotes.
Interesting. Evel.
Yeah. But when we see them escape jail, it is like they're being birthed. They are coming out of the earth. They are covered in mud. They are crying and screaming and yelling.
They are bellowing. You cut to just a muddy field outside of the jail, and out of nowhere, John Goodman's head emerges from the mud and he bellows. It is a deep, intense soul scream. It is a howl of mountains. And he's just, births himself out of the mud, drags his brother up. So much of this movie is just John Goodman yelling. Yeah. Not yelling words, just sound.
Yeah. But it is like this birthing scene. And then it is this almost like truncated lifespan that they live, where you get born and then you start meeting people and making connections and also like worrying about your appearance and what other people think, right? The first thing they do after that is get their pomade and like make up their look, even though their clothes are just completely disgusting.
Are the Coen brothers our top pomade filmmakers?
Yeah, I mean, they don't want fop, right? They're a Dapper Dan man, right?
Exactly. This has been a plot point multiple times.
They start making friends. They're almost like teenagers when they're at Nicolas Cage's house, just with how dirty they are, all the food and beer cans they leave, and then they have to get kicked out of the nest, right, to go make it on their own, and they still just like are trying to get their feet underneath them, and then they end up with a baby of their own, and they run into like the same issues that the other family is having of just like how exactly do we care for this thing? Like, are we sure we remembered everything? Like, did we actually put him in the car and not on top of the car, right? It's just interesting to see those cycles from different perspectives. Is that something that you noticed with all of this?
That's a very smart way to look at it, that they do go through the life cycle of birth to being youths at home, to parents kicking them out, to being on their own, to raising a child. And then ultimately they loop back around and they voluntarily go back to jail. I think they crawl back into that hole. They're like, this world is too much for us.
Right, yeah.
We haven't earned it yet. We got to go cook a little longer. I love that Nathan Jr. has this ability to where the second anybody looks at him, he is magic. Everybody loves this baby. I mean, who doesn't love a baby? But there's something about this baby where anybody who comes into contact with him is like, this is the best one I've ever encountered. And I will die for Nathan Jr. or whatever Jr. his name happens to be.
Right, yeah. That is something special about a child, right? I do also think over to that episode of Seinfeld where some people just had a baby and they invite Elaine over and she gets to look at this baby and everyone is like, oh, it's so cute, don't you think it's just the loveliest? And she's like, ooh. that is the ugliest baby I've ever seen. But there is something kind of magical about babies, or you're even not even necessarily like a human baby, but puppies,
True.
Kittens, right? There's just
Yodas.
Something. Yeah, exactly. Baby Yodas. That you want to take care of them. You want to hold them. You want to have fun with them, right?
Yes, but there is a supernatural prowess to this particular baby. It's something about him goes above and beyond. People react extremely to this baby.
Can we go back a little bit and talk about the scene where they've decided to steal the baby or one of the babies, and so they go over to this house and Nicolas Cage goes up the ladder into this house to steal one of the babies, and he's just up there for a little while.
Yeah, there's just
Not-
shenanigans for like 6 or 7 minutes.
It was maybe the only scene that I felt was almost out of place.
Right. I'm like, I can't tell exactly why he hasn't achieved his goal yet. He's just sort of standing there looking at him. I guess he's trying to pick one out. The babies all live
Right.
together. The babies are in one extra wide crib that has their name carved over each of their spots. Like when you see Snow White and the 7 dwarves, and each of the 7 dwarves has a bed with their name on it. But one big bed for 5 growing boys. And I don't know, like he'll just turn his back and then one of them will crawl away and he's like, I got it, put it back. It just becomes, baby madness for a couple minutes.
But that's the thing. Like, if he is truly testing them to see which one he wants, that scene doesn't necessarily make it clear. Because one,
I don't know
they're
if
all quintuplets. They all look the same, right?
Mm.
So at that point, you could just take any of them and it'd be fine. But if he's doing the thing to see like which one warms to him the most, right, out of all of them, they're just crawling off in different directions. They're falling off the chair. They're hiding in the closet. Like they aren't really paying attention to him, but he's also just like, wait, no, you can't go back there. I need to put you over here. Wait, now there's that one over here. So I need to put him back over here. And it's just like, I get it. I like the scene. If he had stolen all of them, like if he had stolen all of them and took them back to his house, and it's just him, like the wife needs a girls' night and all of this stuff, and he's just trying to be a dad, like that kind of slapstick makes sense. But here I was just like, I like it, but it feels out of place. But then he takes Nathan Jr. And that's the one he ends up with.
And he's like, I got the best one, right, honey?
Right, yeah.
I picked it good. I did good.
I like that they have their whole like welcome home party for him.
It's so endearing. This movie where they steal the baby from the rich businessman family and kidnap the baby and try to raise the baby and then ultimately decide to give the baby back. Ribs, now at Chili's, 1999. You have to ride such a specific emotional line there where they can never be too bad and the biological family can never be too bad either. That was another thing that surprised me. I was expecting Nathan Arizona Sr. to be more of a villain. And the Arizona parents seem maybe like a little stiff, old-fashioned. They are an older couple. The wife was taking a lot of fertility procedures. That's why they had this miracle 5 babies in one.
Right, yeah.
So they are maybe a little bit more set in their ways, but they're not uncaring. They do seem like they're loving parents, just more formal parents compared to Hi and Ed. And the part at the end when they decide to give the baby back, you're expecting, gotta stop saying that, all it does is conjure the rib commercial. You're expecting Nathan Arizona Sr. to bring hell down upon them, for there truly to be some kind of retribution, another thing they have to escape from, another wild chase sequence, something like that. But he's really understanding and empathetic. And he listens to them, and when they talk about, and when he tries to comfort them and say, well, at least you'll always have each other, even if you can't have a baby. And they're like, well, we're not sure how long we're going to stick together. And he's like, give it a night. Give yourselves at least one night. Think it over. There's got to be a lot more paths out there for you than that. He's supportive, and the movie does a great job of making you feel like it's okay that the baby went back home.
Right.
That's a good place for him to be. Right.
Yeah. I think it is one of the only examples in the film where a character truly can give sound advice of like, hey, I've been in the position you've been in, right? We have these cycles of parenthood or life kind of happening over here in most of the movie, but in this one instance, he's like, hey, I've been there with my wife. We were struggling to have a baby. And yeah, I mean, like he's not like, well, you need to do X, and that is the solution. But yeah, there is this like, there's probably other solutions out there for you. I can't tell you exactly what they are,
right?
But give it time, and
yes.
That can be the same of you guys wanting a child, as well as just the structure of your relationship, right? Do you guys stick together, and are you happy without one? Who knows? Maybe they do realize 5 kids is too much, and they need a full-time nanny, right? In which she gets to be there with all 5 of them and watch them grow up or something, right? Yeah, there's options out there, and I think just the virtue of patience, right?
Yeah,
This is
for such a
good one.
For such a frenetic little movie, patience is one of the virtues it's trying to extol. That's true.
Yeah. Can we also talk about the big long chase scene?
Ah, incredible piece.
Yeah. This is one of the moments
I
remembered from this film, especially at the end when he picks up the diapers finally at the end. Which is like, oh, great little bit of that whole
even
thing
if
there.
If my memories of this were patchy and fuzzy, that I still remembered.
Yeah.
That is up there with Indiana Jones grabbing his hat from underneath like a big stone door or something.
Right, yeah. So there is a chase scene that ensues after I keep saying Nicolas Cage just because he is always Nicolas Cage in my mind. He is not necessarily his character. Yeah. But Hi is at the convenience store with his wife and kidnapped kid in the car. And he's just there to like pick up some diapers and stuff like that, but he picks up some pantyhose, pulls out his gun, and is like, well, I'll also take all the cash that's in here, right? So he robs the store, and then his wife sees it, and she's just like, you son of a bitch. Like, that's it. I'm leaving. And so she gets in the driver's seat and takes off, and the cops are on their way, and so he has no getaway car. He's being chased and shot at by the cops. He hops a fence, sees this big old dog that comes after him, that gets off of the leash, that starts chasing him. More chaos as they are like going through the streets and around the neighborhoods and all sorts of stuff.
There's a incredible handheld camera shot of them running through a suburban house.
Yes.
Just up and down every floor, past the family watching TV, in and out. More dogs start following that main dog, and the dog is still dragging like the chain and the stake from its front yard.
Yeah.
There's like 20 dogs. There's police officers. He goes into the grocery store, and then the guy in the grocery store starts shooting at him because he knows he's a criminal. And why are there so many dogs here? And then the dogs just go after some innocent woman and her hair curlers just buying her groceries. Yeah. It is a Rube Goldberg masterpiece. And it's so many different moving parts. For this to be your second film, and I don't know if you've ever seen Blood Simple, but it is
not
simple. It's a pretty straightforward movie. Not a lot of characters or set pieces or action. This is such a jump, and it's so well executed. I have to give a particular shout out to the director of photography, Barry Sonnenfeld, who would go on to direct the Men in Black movies and the Addams Family movies.
That's fun.
A number of other things. He's really creative with the camera work. Yeah. The way it zooms around, it'll be down at like baby eye view, It'll be shaky cam following them through the house.
Yeah, it's like every 3 or 4 seconds, it feels like something new is happening. Or some other turn of events, like you said, a Rube Goldberg machine where the dogs chase the woman hits the cop, which gets him out of the way for Nicolas Cage to run through, right? And all of this stuff. And yeah, halfway in this, Holly Hunter's character, Ed, is just like, but I love him, right? Like, I gotta go pick him up. And yeah, she ends up scooping him up outside of the or back behind the grocery store, and they're still fighting, right? They're upset at each other and stuff like that, but he's in the midst of this argument that they're having. He's like, all right, no, left here, right here. And you almost don't really notice it at first, and then when you realize, like, oh, he's here to pick up the diapers that he dropped, like, way at the start of all of this, it's just like, oh, perfect. Like, he just did all of that to make one big loop. He got away with it. It's good. It's fun.
Let's talk Holly Hunter. She is a force of nature in just about everything you see her in. She's so concentrated and dedicated, and when she sets her sights on something, she doesn't let anything stand in her way.
Mm-hmm.
She's a primal force to contend with, here especially.
She feels, and we almost get a little bit. We almost get a little bit of this when that first big dog is running down the street, and then the second dog comes up, and it's just this much smaller dog, this little white
That's
dog,
her.
and it is just yapping at this big
That's her
dog, and that's almost what it's like. And if you live in or have someone you know that has dogs like that, the smaller one is often the one that's in charge, that will just like yap and will boss the big dog into whatever it wants. And yeah, that's exactly what this feels like, which is interesting because of how they met and how, like, he just kind of sweeps her off her feet in the romance that they have, because they really don't have all that much interaction to build up to him asking her to marry him. But it's just these like quick little 2-minute things, like, hey, you're beautiful, and then like, oh, you're crying, like, what happened? Like, what did she say? My fiance broke up with me. And he's just like, oh, like, how could he fumble it, right? Like, what is up with him? Like, he, like, absolutely not. You shouldn't be treated like that. And she's just like, very obviously, like, has not had someone treat her like that. I'm just like, thank you. Like, that means a lot. Like, even from you, just like, I felt that. Thank you. Right. And then yeah, he eventually walks in one day and proposes to her. But then immediately after that, she's the boss and is just like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I want you two out of the house by tomorrow. I want this. I want the right. And
but not
it.
in a, she's very, you can tell she's practical. She is thinking things through. She has a good reason why she's asking for what she's asking for. Even the premise of, well, we don't have any babies and this family is 5 babies. So rightfully, we should get to have one of those babies.
Just even the odds a little bit, you know? Yeah, it's like she's never villainous when she's bossy. Where I feel like you could almost see a character that would have been that of like, oh yeah, you guys did kidnap the baby, but now I don't know if you should have the baby, right? Like, I'm almost rooting for her in how much, like, she is like genuinely trying to take it serious and learn, and like that I think is where the bossiness comes from. Like, she is really like, no, I want to be a mom. I want to raise this kid right and love it and care for it. So that's why we can't have, all of these bad influences and stuff like that. She's protective.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, she is a force to be reckoned with, for sure. For sure. I liked her a lot in this.
I love when they take the baby home and they have the welcome home son sign. They've got the nursery all made up. It's so cute. But I love Hi showing him around the house like, take a look here, young sportsman. This is the family divan for relaxing and socializing.
Yep. This is where your mom and I chow down. Here's the TV. No more than 2 hours, though.
We'll rotate between cultural programming and sports. Make a well-rounded young man. He's not a talkative character, but in that scene, it feels, except for his inner monologue, he does a lot of inner monologue, and not as much talking to other characters. Not absolutely minimal. It's not just grunts, but he's not a monologuing type of guy. So it is funny when he just bursts out with something that feels both improvised and rehearsed. Like, I always wanted to do this, but I never actually thought to put words to it.
It feels anxious in the way, like he's nervous, which is just spot on. Right, of like brand new father, like how do I hold it? What do I do? She's asking me not to cuss around him, but also, is he really gonna care? Is he gonna absorb that at such a young age? Right, have to hide the Playboy magazines, right?
One last look before you put it away.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it really feels nervous, and I think Nicolas Cage just really nails it there.
Speaking of the Playboy, there's a scene where they go into one of the gas stations or one of the convenience stores, and there's some guy behind the checkout counter reading Jugs magazine, and the headline on the front page of Jugs is Tits ×2, and I'm like, yes, that's typically how they come. What's the news here?
Wouldn't that suggest 2 women, though? Right?
There's a single woman. There's a picture of a single woman, and it says Tits ×2.
I mean, I guess if they're big enough,
yes.
Right?
Maybe that's it. We've been a D magazine up until this point. Welcome, our first pair of double Ds. Jugs magazine started alphabetically. There was the all A issue, the all B issue.
Honestly, that'd be a good gimmick for that. That'd be kind of hilarious. Goodness gracious.
The scene where she wants to take the family photo of the 3 of them on the couch, and it's a camera on a timer, and the camera timer ticks down as he's like anxiously trying to figure out how to hold the baby and pose for the photo. She's talking to him like, you have to give up your criminal ways. You understand that this is all serious and real right now, right? Yeah. We are putting family to film. With this photo, we are passing a step that you can't take back anymore. With the audio of it ticking down. It's a very obvious, blunt metaphor, but it's very well executed.
Yeah. And having that picture there where they are in mid-conversation and he's just trying to he feels like he's pretending still, like it's not totally real for him, which is why Ed is so like, no, you're done. Like, you need to move on from that. And it's just like looking at him sideways in that. It's such a good reminder for him when he if he ever is looks back at that picture of like, no, we're moving on. Like we've had this conversation here. In fact, here's the exact moment we had it. Right. So, yeah. I think it's really funny then when the brothers then find out they're like the funkles, right? They're the fun uncles that
Yes.
maybe aren't the like best influence, but right, they love the baby too. And when they find out that this is in fact a kidnapped baby, they take it. I think they're also trying to claim the reward and stuff like that. But they just like as soon as the baby smiles at one of them, they're just like, he smiled at me. Like, I'm in love. Like, this is it. This is my baby.
That's the magic of it. Yeah.
And the first, like, once they fall in love, yeah, they're just completely enamored. They're hooked. And when they realized that they might have been the ones to hurt the baby, just more yelling, more screaming, more just
yes,
like, oh no, like this is the worst thing they could have done. They are life criminals, right? Like this upsets them, that they are like, we maybe hurt someone, even though we've maybe hurt some people in the past. This is a baby. Right, like
and we did it by accident. We think we just accidentally left the car seat on top of the car, or on the parking lot next to the car. Yes, deep, painful soul screams the whole drive back to the gas station. Another part of that scene at the gas station is the funniest part of the whole thing to me, when they go inside, they're buying things for the baby. It's Avell, I think, the younger of the two brothers, the one that's not John Goodman. And he buys the Huggy diapers and is like, how do these work? Do they need like pins? Do I have to safety pin them? And the Coen brothers, besides being our best pomade filmmakers, are our best store clerk filmmakers. Get out of the way, Kevin Smith. It's the Coen brothers. Just dry, plain men. Just salt of the earth, bland men. They're both salty and bland. Behind the counter, dealing with dumbasses like this or terrifying people like Anton Chigurh. The whole spectrum. Every time they headed out of the park with just random service folk, and the guy's like, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just do the little adhesive tabs. And when he picks up the balloons and asks, did these blow up into funny shapes? And he says, not unless you're thinking round is funny.
Right? Yeah. Just straight delivery. Yeah. And something else that adds to the cartoonishness is the way that these like just regular town folks interact with all of this chaos, right? When he like does have the gun pulled on him after he puts the balloons in the bags and stuff like that. And he's like, all right, count to 825 and I'll be back in 5 minutes to make sure you're not cheating. Like the guy's like, he's shocked as anyone would be, but has that like tinge of confusion, like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And it gets down and starts counting, right? And then he gets back up like after he realizes like, yeah, I'm at 800 something. These guys aren't coming back. And he stands up and he sees them coming down the road. He's just like, oh, bullshit. Damn it. He immediately gets back down to keep counting. Yeah, like there's this like disbelief. And then when they go to the bank, right, and he's like, well, do you want us to freeze or do you want us to get on the floor? I'm confused, right? Like there's just this this like simplicity meets dumbassery. And,
yes.
Right. It's almost like the opposite of like what happens when the unstoppable force meets the right. It's almost like the exact opposite of that. But it's just so cartoonish.
What happens when a confused force meets a confused object?
Yeah. Yeah. And it it makes them seem so much more cartoonish than the townspeople, who are, maybe it's a little facetious considering the situation, right? But like, yeah, do you want me to stand still, or do you want me to get on the ground here? You're not, like, make up your mind, right? Like, that's valid. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there's just, it's that mix of how those two things meet that I think keep the film funny and entertaining. Because even you see stuff like that with High and Ed when they meet the other couple that they have over for dinner, the way that couple just steamrolls them, just talking a mile a minute, so much information, so much unnecessary conversation that just is like, what is even happening here? Kids, get away from their car, and then it cuts over to them like smashing it with sticks.
They've got
and stuff, right?
Their children are 5 Bam Bams. They're the most chaotic feral children you've ever seen. There's the gag where the kid is writing fart on the wall, which is very funny, and you think that's all it is. But then an hour later, when the bounty hunter comes into the house and sees the word fart still written on the wall, that's the payoff.
Right, yeah. Just like, yes, the kid's been here. I can sense it.
I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot, because it had been so long since I had seen this movie. I had kind of forgotten how it wrapped up and everything. And I was trying to figure out, like, does the bounty hunter, like, end up fingering the brothers for this stuff? And that's how like High and Ed end up getting away from this scot-free, that they like maybe somehow he thinks the narrative is, oh, these criminals that have escaped kidnapped the baby, hid out here, and is maybe making it seem like they were the ones that kidnapped them and stuff like that. And so when the bounty hunter solves everything, he can be like, no, these guys are local heroes, you should reward them or something, which is not the case. But yeah, I was still trying to figure out, like, how is this going to resolve in the midst of all of in the midst of all of that. And I think it ended up in a good place, which we already talked about here. But yeah, I really enjoy the chaos of everything that is happening. Similar to how I said, like, every 3 or 4 seconds, it felt like something new was happening in that chase scene. It feels like the movie as a whole is almost taking that same approach, where every 2 or 3 minutes, something new is happening. There's a chase or there's a conversation where someone is just getting completely steamrolled here, and it starts to veer off into some other direction. And I think that helps to just make it infinitely watchable. Like, it never bores you with what it could be, right? Just a movie about Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter sitting there raising a baby at home might not be the most interesting. But then when you throw in these weird characters and you keep dragging them out of the house and into all these dangerous situations, it's like, okay, that's fun to watch, right? I don't know. I like it. It's such a simple formula, and it's good.
Yes. And it's a movie full of surprises, including that this bounty hunter character, this man who seems like a manifestation of evil, has a normal man name and this very sort of quiet, mumbly, unassuming voice.
You almost think he'd have this, like, really loud booming voice, yeah, that can right, if he was a gladiator being like, are you not entertained, right? Like, but he's just normal guy, and it's just like, okay, that's not what I expected.
yeah.
So when this bounty hunter guy finally catches up with them in the car. They have the baby. This is like right around the time when he throws the grenade in the car and it explodes, and Nicolas Cage pulls the pins off the grenades that are still on him. Is there a moment where you see another one of the guy's tattoos and it's the same tattoo that Nicolas Cage has?
Yes. It's also like the Woody Woodpecker, and I don't know what that means. At first I thought maybe it was like my long lost brother.
We almost had a Martha moment.
Right, exactly.
That was my thought. The whole that like I saw that, but then nothing comes of it. They don't.
His mom's name
it.
is also Woody Woodpecker.
Right? Yeah. They don't mention it. It's not like, hey, we have something in common. I'll stop hunting you. Like I won't throw as many grenades at you, right? But yeah, it's just like, oh, now I have the pins on your grenades. Now you explode, and that's the end of it. I'm wondering if there was like a deleted scene or something that maybe they were thinking of doing, and that little bit just stayed in there in the final cut.
It may be an example of we're all more alike than we think.
Sure.
This person who may be a stranger, may be an antagonist, may be standing in your way, you can find something in common with them. Even if it's like you also have the same dumb cartoon character tattoo that I do. Or you and I have been on the same journey with our marriage or with parenthood or something.
Did you ever feel like you wanted a little bit more backstory to this bounty hunter guy?
No, I like that he's a mystery. What's his name? His normal man name, hold on, is... What is it? Leonard Smalls? Like, just like a guy's name.
Right.
Perhaps the funniest part.
Yeah, and like I think I agree with you. I don't think we need the backstory on him because that would ground him that much more in reality versus this like, is he a dream? Is he a manifestation? Is this who Nicolas Cage would be if he like continued down a certain like his criminal path? But I also had the thought of like, oh, what if this is a character that like lost a child, and that is why he is here to help stop other people from losing a child, right?
Those little baby shoes.
Exactly, right? Which it maybe implies that he had a kid of his own at some point.
Right, because I don't think...
his baby shoes, but
right.
who carries around their own baby shoes? I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just it like interesting little things about him that can like spark these different almost backstories or way to interpret the character, which I kind of like. But yeah, I like that we don't have a definitive answer of who are you and why are you here? He just shows up out of a dream.
He's just the right man for the job.
Right, yeah.
And then we have the dream at the end where High sees the baby getting a football for Christmas. He grows up, he gets a football for Christmas. He's a successful football player. And he's like, I dream further and even further into the future. And I know we have a good influence on Nathan Jr., even if he doesn't remember us or know why his life is turning out the way it is. I think that's
the ones
us.
that got him the football, right? That's what it implied, because it said,
yes,
or at least that's how I read that scene. I know it says like he opens a gift from a loving family or something like that.
Santa Claus.
I think it's one of those things that could either read like, oh, his parents got him that, or we got him that anonymously, of just like, hey, a handful of years down the road, here's a football, and that went on to influence his life in a good way.
And then he goes on to dream, and he sees the two of them as old folks, and you only see them from behind, but their silhouettes still absolutely read as Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter.
Yeah.
And he says, I see this elderly couple holding hands in love in their home, and then all of their children and grandchildren come visit them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's fun. It's it ends on this not odd, but unexpected hopeful note, right? Amidst all of this chaos, there is still hope that, hey, there's a better life somewhere down the road. If you dream it, you can do it, right? Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to dream it and he's going to do it.
Yeah, even if that's not exactly what happens down the road, right? Like, I feel like he and Ed are now on this path to achieve a life that they can be happy with, right? Which is, I think, kind of secretly what they wanted. Like, it wasn't necessarily a kid, right? I think, yeah, that's maybe what it's saying. Underneath everything, no matter if you want financial success or kids and a big family or X, Y, and Z, right? You all just kind of want to take this next step into something that feels more comfortable and loving and more safe and secure, right?
During that up montage at the beginning of the movie, where you see them meet and get married, and which High's narration says is that after they were married and moved in together, it was just like, well, this is what must happen next.
Yep.
We should have a baby. That's the thing that's going to complete us. Right. I love that they wear their nice clothes to go to the doctor to be told they can't conceive a baby. That's something you don't see anymore. Right, doctor's appointment, better put on my suit.
Right, exactly. Like all the old movies and shows where people dress up on the airplane, even if it's not for like a business flight where they're going to be in a meeting right after, but just a man has to look his best when he's on the airplane.
Yes,
right?
an airplane is a special occasion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good hopeful note that I think this movie ends up on. The
movie is never cynical. It is frequently sweeter than you'd think it would be. I think that's part of what has made it such a classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most Napoleon Dynamite that this movie got for me was the conversations with this other couple that they had over. There's just like when they're in the kitchen. It feels like the kitchen in Napoleon Dynamite. It feels like he's talking.
Yes, it does.
It feels like he's talking to Kip. It feels like he's talking to Uncle Rico. It just has.
Uncle Rico does feel like he could just walk into this movie at any moment.
He's probably one of the kids, right?
One of those kids grows up to be Uncle Rico.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. There's something about the dryness of the film. I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I feel it. I see it. There's a little bit of Raising Arizona in Napoleon Dynamite here.
And it's hard to put your finger on the dryness, the spareness, the mundanity, just unnecessary fixation on insignificant details.
Yeah.
Little slices of life. One of my favorite bits in Napoleon Dynamite, which we've already done a full episode on, so we somehow found more to talk about, is when Kip is helping Uncle Rico sell Tupperware, and he goes to it's one of the two of them goes to some couple's house and is showing off the Tupperware, and then the wife leans over to the husband and says, I want that.
Yeah. And like in a way that's like real lustful, like I want
that. I want that. You don't satisfy me. The Tupperware satisfies me.
Oh my god. Yeah. it's that like small town rural life, the
Yes.
mundanity of life, of these relationships, and the odd things that we end up being attached and attracted to, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think even the bit where the brothers realize that they're taking the kid to the doctor the next day, and he's like, "Oh, about to get that dip tat." Like they just happen to
He's
know
learned.
this too, right? Like how does he know this? And like, right? It's just these funny little details. I love it. The slow pace of everything, despite the mile-a-minute nature of this movie here.
Mhm.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, for me, I know I mentioned saying an influence on Wes Anderson. I think especially like the first 15 minutes of this movie or so, it's Nick Cage's narration at the start
Yes.
that really feels like it. Like we said, it's the just the way that these interactions are this like stupidity versus mundanity, right? That's like right there, the way they deliver some of their lines just as this real matter of fact
Yes.
thing. And then there's the only scene that compositionally feels like a Wes Anderson is the scene where you see the Arizona family in their chairs.
Yes.
And it's like it's just this real symmetrical shot, right? That's the only one. It does not have the color choices that Wes Anderson would have now, but
and I feel like other Barry Sonnenfeld movies have had that American Gothic symmetry to it.
yeah, that's kind of exactly what it is. It's just a real simple shot divided right down the center, symmetrical, same, two people in chairs just sitting there. But then after that, like not as much. That's like, I feel like Wes Anderson must have taken some notes on this stuff. But
taking his notes with his Mont Blanc pen in a delicate little moleskin.
When did Wes Anderson start making films?
Look up, yes, what year was Bottle Rocket? It was after this. I don't know the man's influences as well as I should like to.
Let's see. Where's the section on his filmography? Bottle Rocket was in 1996, so this would have been a handful of
nearly 10 years later.
Before. Yeah, this feels like something he would have been watching. I don't know how old he was when he made Bottle Rocket, but right, like whether or not he was in college or like in high school or who knows what. This feels like certainly could have been an influence there. Right? Some fantastic Mr. Fox is in here too, Interesting. Okay. Good stuff. Has there been any of Raising Arizona that we've missed that you still want to talk about?
I just want to shout out the production design on the quintuplets room. That preposterous nursery filled with stuffed animals that are 6 feet tall. I love the giant plush toy soldier, just like all limp and leaning over on like a 3 foot by 3 foot block. And you got the little. There's so much space in this room, but they still all have to share one crib with each other. They've got the fire truck they can crawl around in. It's. No real room looks like that. Nurseries have only ever looked like that in cinema. It made me think of the Big Baby's room from Spirited Away.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like what's interesting to me is his business is unpainted Arizona, right? And it's just this unpainted, like wood finished furniture meant to be like, hey, you can paint this whatever color you like to fit your home. We'll make this the good furniture. You can customize it to fit your needs here. And yeah, the scene that I said was like Wes Anderson compositionally. is real drab. It's real brown and like all of that. Like it is the like wood grain finishes. But then, yeah, you get up to the baby's room and it's bright and colorful and primary colors and red and blue. And it's just like, are each of the rooms in your house themed? Because we really don't see much, but just the two like juxtaposition of like
It is an older couple, a couple who's been together a long time. They're set in their ways. Husband is kind of married to his work.
Yeah.
They do not decorate with passion. Only when their quintuplets were born did passion into their lives, and that room is decorated with passion and personality.
Arizona, that room right there. Good stuff.
Have you ever been to Arizona?
Yes, I have. I've been to Phoenix. It was when I was younger, I believe. I believe that's where I was. I went to go visit a friend of mine out there.
That's right.
Yeah, he had moved away.
Is this the plane ride where you thought you had seen The Family Man?
Melissa, you nailed it. that is it. Yeah, it's not really part of the reason why we do the Nicolas Cage match, but last year we watched The Family Man because I've had this experience in life where I remember being on an airplane, looking in between the seats, watching someone watch a Nicolas Cage movie, and for the life of me, I can't figure out what that movie is. My best guess of like actually sitting down to be like, okay, let me figure this out. Here's when the plane ride happened. So it can't be any Nicolas Cage movie past this date, right? Like it has to be kind of right around here. What would they have on the airplane? And I don't know. I think it maybe was The Family Man, but I don't know. I think we walked away from that still being like, not entirely sure. So yeah, that was the plane ride. Good times. Good times. But yeah.
Ready to move on to bingo?
I am. Let me pull up our bingo sheets here. Where is our bingo button? There it is. Boom. Okay. Bingo, bongo. Still no flip phones in this. That's my quota one. I need to find 3 flip phones in this. This is a little too soon. Too bad we didn't get Fight in the Rain.
No. This movie has the energy of a giant check, but no giant check actually appears.
Right,
yeah. We don't have a cow. We don't have an answering machine?
We don't. Do we have tug of war resulting in a broken object? I don't think so.
No.
No step scene, no back line. The only other one that I could potentially get, which I don't even, this is not exactly what I intended, but I have the chase or fight that goes through a kitchen.
Yes.
And we have like an almost spiritual like chase that goes through someone's house, but they don't.
Do they pop through the kitchen?
I don't think they do, because I was thinking about that as it happened. But yeah, not exactly what I was thinking there.
Nothing this week.
Yeah, I guess nothing else. So kind of a dud of a bingo update here, but still a good movie nonetheless. So let's get into recommendations. Melissa, for people who enjoyed this, what else might they like?
Well, on episode 251 of the review show, we talked about Napoleon Dynamite in great detail. On episode 94, we watched Moonrise Kingdom. That's the only time we've ever talked about Wes Anderson. It is probably the best comp for Raising Arizona. It's about a star-crossed couple who makes a decision to do something possibly illegal that upsets their friends and family. There's a mysterious narrator. Frances McDormand is in it.
Yeah. I'll follow that one up. We did technically talk about another Wes Anderson movie, but it was on a different podcast.
Yes.
We talked about Asteroid City on the Reactor Core episode 123. I think that would also fit in with this. It's set in that same like area,
it's same desert.
Desert. Yeah. Good old small town life. And the mundanities meeting dumbassery and weirdness happening there, right? So
children running around with no regard for rules.
Love it. Good stuff.
Also on episode 217, we watched the Muppet movie. And when the bounty hunter rides up in Raising Arizona, it made me think of the guy they call in to bring in Kermit the Frog in the Muppet movie.
Right, yeah.
I recommend the Sugarland Express. This is Steven Spielberg's first fully theatrically released movie. He'd done a TV movie before that called Duel that I think was for TV and got some theatrical release. So Sugarland Express is regarded as his start. And I'd only ever heard of it as like a trivia factoid. Like Jaws made him famous, but before that he directed the Sugarland Express. I'd never heard much about it until I saw it for the first time last year. It's great. That boy had the juice since day one. The Sugarland Express is a movie about these two petty criminals who have a baby, and the wife has been in jail before and she's now out. And the husband, I forget if they're actually married. The husband is going to be released soon. He's like 2 months away from being released. And because of their criminal histories, the state has taken their baby and put him into foster care. And the wife goes to the husband like, I am getting our baby back. You're coming with me. And he's like, I'm out of here scot-free legally in like 2 months. And she's like, nope, we're getting him out today. I brought these clothes for you to change into. I'm going to smuggle you out. So the two of them like kidnap a guy and make him drive them in his car across states to go to the foster home of their baby and get their baby back. And it's a madcap chase. They spend almost the entirety of the movie in the car. It's really funny. It's goofy, but also heartfelt and sweet and scary.
Huh. Interesting.
There's a lot going on with it. I was really impressed.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Any other recommendations?
Yes, there's a movie called Always, also directed by Steven Spielberg. This is a movie I'd never heard about at all. In the entirety of his filmography, Always, like a quiet 1989 dramedy, has just dropped off the face of the earth. And it's a thoroughly fine movie, but I guess when you're Steven Spielberg, nobody bothers to count the films of yours that are fine. They just don't bother talking about them.
Right.
Always is a movie where Richard Dreyfuss plays a guy who pilots a plane that drops water on forest fires and he dies. And he had a tumultuous on-again, off-again romance with Holly Hunter. And in death, he's like walking around keeping an eye on her. And they hire some new pilot. And he's kind of from beyond the grave guiding this new pilot into being a good mate for her. And John Goodman plays his like goofy buddy. So if you like those two actors and want to see them work together again, you can watch Always. Don't forget about it. Always is a real movie that really happened. I recently saw the Coen Brothers' Barton Fink for the first time. Do you know Barton Fink? For anything besides when we read the graphic novel Sex Criminals, and there's a whole series of porn parodies, including Hard On Fink, which was all I knew about it until I watched it.
I only know it by name. I have not watched it.
In the movie Barton Fink, it's set in Mank times, and John Turturro plays a New York City playwright who is hired to go out to Los Angeles and write a film script.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him trying to deal with how different the Los Angeles, like the Hollywood film business is. And he's been put up in this hotel to concentrate and write his script. And the hotel is hell. And John Goodman is there. And John Goodman is the devil.
Mm. Okay.
Not literally, but when he's in Hollywood, Hollywood's a normal place. When he comes home to the hotel, this is a different realm. Rules don't apply here.
That's fun.
And John Goodman is this overbearing, like, traveling salesman who has the room next to John Turturro. He's kind of nosy and kind of gregarious and loud and chatty. And it's like, yeah, but he's kind of charming. I'm kind of on his side. And that character turns into something very different by the end of the movie. It is a tour de force performance. It's maybe his finest performance.
Interesting. Good stuff.
I recently watched King Ralph, a movie where the entire British royal family is electrocuted and dies. So they have to go way out to the fringes of the royal lineage, and they find illegitimate heir, John Goodman, who's a sleazy Las Vegas singer. And they bring him to London like, you're king. You're now King Ralph.
Amazing.
It's a really dumb movie, but even if they're saying a dumb joke, the comedic timing in this movie is weirdly sharp. Like everything has got the right intonation and the right timing, and you laugh a lot the same way like the doctor hits your knee with the little hammer for the reflex test.
Good.
And there's some pretty good shots in it. It's shot surprisingly well for just a dumb 1991 comedy. King Ralph, it's got a little more to it than you'd think it would be. I've recommended Broadcast News before. Mm-hmm. Perhaps my favorite Holly Hunter performance. There's the bit here in Raising Arizona where she's given the baby and just immediately breaks down sobbing, saying, I love him so much.
Yeah.
She does a lot of that in Broadcast News, just turning her emotions on a dime.
Amazing.
It's great stuff. And when we got to Nathan Arizona's Unpainted Arizona, just watching any kind of lovelorn caper featuring a home furnishings salesman made me think of Punch Drunk Love, a movie I've tried to explain to you before, and I don't know if I've ever done it sufficiently.
To be honest, couldn't name a single thing about the plot. Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie from like 2002-3, where Adam Sandler wears the same suit every day, and he has 7 sisters, and he sells designer toilet plunger handles, and somebody drops off a little piano outside his factory, and then he falls in love with this woman, and they go on a date, and he gets angry, not at her, just about something else, and then he beats up the bathroom, and then he tries to go back to the table like it's normal, and the waiter comes out like, sir, you destroyed our bathroom, you have to leave. And he gets lonely one night, and he calls a phone sex hotline just to have somebody to talk to, and then the phone sex hotline won't stop calling him and won't stop charging his card, and he decides to take it all the way up to the top, and the phone sex hotline is owned by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who runs a mattress store in Utah, so he has to go to Utah and fight Philip Seymour Hoffman, and also he's buying all of this healthy choice pudding to get frequent flyer miles.
And that is Melissa's recommendation, Punch Drunk Love.
I'm not kidding. This movie sounds insane. Yeah. Just like demented when you try to explain it to another person. But I swear, it all hangs together. It's a tight 90 minutes. It's such a successful, funny, sweet movie.
Good.
You just cannot translate it again a second time.
Interesting.
You have to see it for yourself.
I mean, I've always heard the name, especially with it coming out around that time, right? That's just a name of a movie I've heard a million times. So good stuff with that. If I had to recommend a Coen Brothers thing, I think my favorite is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I really, really enjoy that one. I had to do some stuff from things we've already covered. In episode 40, we did a graphic novel called Essex County by Jeff Lemire.
Oh, yeah.
I think just the small town nature of the stuff that you see in Essex County would be a good fit with this. I think Essex County is not a comedy. There might be a few jokes in there, but it feels a lot more melancholy. It feels a lot more of just like, here's just a slice of life look at a small town in Canada, right? But I think the smaller stuff in that would fit good with this. Another thing from Jeff Lemire would be Black Hammer. If you want something that's maybe in the superhero genre. Let's see, where did we cover this guy? Why is it not coming up? Black Hammer volumes 1 through 2, episode 106 of the review show. Again, not really a comedy, but superheroes trapped in this like rural small town life. They are trapped in this place. They don't know if it's the afterlife, if it is another part of the world, if it's a different planet. They don't know. There's this like giant bubble that is keeping them in. And it all kind of happened in a flash as they were fighting a big world-ending threat, super villain kind of thing there. Let's see. We also mentioned Napoleon Dynamite. That's a good one. What else was I going to do? There was something else that I had that I thought would have been pretty good, but now I'm not remembering what it is. So I will say that is all of my recommendations for now. Go check out some stuff from Jeff Lemire. He writes a good little small town.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Cool. Well, next episode, we are finally going to get back to Poker Face.
Yes, because by this point, all of season 2 will have come out. And we decided to move our schedule around a little bit so we could just talk about all of the show all at once.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's like I had watched through episode 7 when we were initially going to do it. And so for like the 3 weeks or so after that, I think it just ended right now, like this weekend or something like that. But yeah, made perfect sense for us to do it this next episode once we get back from our trip and we've kind of resettled into things here. I think this will be a good one to catch up on. I recommended this to my parents to check out after being like, hey, it has some Columbo influences, it has some like Incredible Hulk influences, all sorts of like stuff like that. Those older like crime of the week detective shows, but they're also wandering being chased around by someone. Yeah. So they liked the first episode at least, but I've not checked in with them to see if they've watched any more of it. Yeah, I'm excited to get back to that show and see how season 2 wraps up. So we'll get to talk about all of it here on the review show next time. So yeah, that is available on Peacock. Is where you guys can check it out. Definitely recommend it.
I was going to make a peacock noise, and then I realized I don't know what noise a peacock makes. Don't they just scream?
I think so. I don't know.
just screeching.
Yeah.
Not unpleasant. Won't be doing it.
As they fan their feathers, just...
Not as elegant as an oink or moo.
What if they did oink? They were just like, wah, oink.
I'd love if we could just standardize animal noises and every animal just made one noise.
the kids market for that toy, that crank would be completely out of business, right? The cow says murr. The peacock says murr. The pig says exactly. Yeah, Peacock is where you guys can check out Poker Face. This is like we kind of alluded to it. It is a crime of the week detective show where Natasha Lyonne plays the main detective. She's not truly a detective, but she has this ability to call people on their bullshit. She knows when they are lying or something is not right about what they're saying. And as a result, kind of ends up mixed up in all of these mysteries. She inserts herself in these scenarios that kind of get her into trouble, which is what happens in the first episode. And as a result, the people don't like that she inserted herself in this and kind of solved the mystery. And so now they are chasing her down and hunting her as she is just kind of on the run, going from town to town, and that just gets into more shenanigans with every town she gets into. So lots of fun. I say go check it out, especially if you're looking for something to watch on Peacock. Good stuff. So there we go. That, I think, wraps us up for this week. So, Melissa, where can the people contact you?
Email me. The old-fashioned way. Just email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com.
There you go. Indeed. If you guys want to follow me, I am at YoKyleSpringer. If you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnauts, we are at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. So please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out more of our videos right over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out a ton. This has been number 321 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.